Welcome to Lost on Ice, the show about the show 20 years later. Today, we're talking about Season 3, Episodes 17 and 18. I'm Will, also here is Ben, and you can watch full video episodes of the podcast on YouTube. Ben and I also release a bonus hangout show every week that can be found at patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. If you're having trouble keeping us apart, I'm the simp, Ben is the alpha. Please keep that in mind.
Yeah. So, alpha, I just made this hand signal to my wife to shut the door.
All right, we got a good couple of episodes here. I don't really care for the love triangle between Sawyer, Kate, and Jack, though. I do think it does a disservice to each of the characters involved, and I do have a major issue with the first episode that we're talking about today, and we'll get into that shortly. But first, what did you think, Ben?
These are okay episodes. I always like Sun.
Yep.
I just like being with people in the little lost universe. It's kind of fun.
You like the hangout vibe. You like it when people were back on the island.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of return to status quo a bit this week.
Yeah. I will say a little meta thing. It's just past Christmas here for us, and I found myself often asking my parents and siblings and everyone else around me at Christmas some hypothetical questions that I realized were all just kind of based off of Lost. My parents are working healthcare, and we talked about blood types, and I did a little callback, I realized, to a pretty early episode when I asked them, like, how could you figure out your blood type if you don't know it? And they were like, well, you could have a blood test. And I was like, well, but imagine you were in a place where you kind of needed to know it and you couldn't get a blood test done. And they were like, then they would ask for somebody who has O blood.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, what if I was hurt and I was in like an isolated place? And then I just realized after a while, I literally was describing Lost to them. I said,
Yeah.
what if I was on an island and I was in like a plane crash and I really needed blood? How would I do that? And they insisted that would be a tough situation to be in.
Of course. What?
They didn't have an answer.
Were you saying it'd be easy?
No, I was just hoping that they'd have a good little answer, good little trick. One cool trick.
Yeah, one simple trick that blood banks don't want you to know about. You can actually just go to the freaking blood tree.
Just figure it out. Well, it'd be embarrassing to
Yeah.
be in like a Lost style situation and then get saved, or some people get saved later on, and you explain that, oh, somebody died from a bad blood transfusion, and they're like, oh, you didn't know that one cool trick to figure out.
Oh yeah.
If you just do a drop
Real
of
egg
blood,
on your face, killing one of the survivors. Yeah.
drip some blood on the ground, and it magically turns into the letter. I'm in AB.
Gotcha. Yep. Well, did you talk Lost with any family over Christmas?
Well,
Checking to see if anybody's seen it.
Those situations, no, I don't think I asked anybody if they'd seen it, because it would have given away the fact that a lot of my other questions were about things that were happening in Lost. I think they're more willing to entertain a bunch of questions about blood type and what would you do in this kind of weird
Sure,
situation.
their profession.
If they
What would you do
don't
if
know it's
there were a
coming from the TV
mysterious
show.
group of other people who kind of lived maybe like in your neighborhood? None of you could leave the neighborhood, and they kept stealing some of you away and had lists. What would you
Yeah,
do?
Mom, are there any situations where maybe you'd be in like a neighborhood, maybe like you're in like Hawaii, and is this a real thing I heard about where like all the women in this neighborhood keep getting pregnant, but then like they die.
Yeah, they're calling it Iowa, unfortunately. They're calling it all red states
Yeah.
recently. Let's talk about season 3, episode 17, Catch 22. It aired on April 18th, 2007. It was directed by Stephen Williams, and it was written by Jeff Pinkner and Brian K. Vaughan. The flashbacks in this episode show Desmond ending his test period of silence after joining a monastery. And I, for one, I got kind of hyped up. I was excited, like, oh, finally, Damon Lindelof is gonna address religion in some way here. Like, this is gonna be interesting. I want to hear what he thinks about religious themes.
I've insisted all along what I think the show is about. Yes, I got hyped up because I was like, and I'm very happy to find out when this episode started. I thought to myself, wow, we're gonna finally figure out, similar to Jack's tats and how did Hurley get fat? We get an answer to the question, why does he say brother
That's
all
so
the
funny.
time?
I wrote that down too. That this really was we're spinning our wheels thinking like we're gonna try to explain every single thing about all of these. Like really, what else is gonna be left unexplained at this point? You ever felt the call of monk life? You ever wanted to be a monk?
No, I haven't felt it, but when I was in high school, there's a thing for Catholic, like high school aged boys. I think maybe middle school, but I think like high school aged boys, where it's like a dinner. You get to go to like a really nice dinner, and I don't know how to explain it. They kind of just pitch you on a little bit, like considering becoming, a priest or a monk or something like that. It's not really like a hard sell thing. Like the whole gist of it is just like, just go. It's a thing you go to, and nobody's expecting anything of you out of it. But there's like maybe 15 minutes of just kind of talking about like, what's it like to be a priest, and is this something that might be a good fit for you? But the food was really good. I think I went to it maybe like 3 out of 4 years or something like that, and it was really good.
Coming back the next year, like I'm still not sure. I could use
Yeah,
a jog to my memory of what it's like to be a priest.
yeah. Let me
Um,
know if you get to eat
I
like this every night. I'm in for sure.
I mean, heck, get access to to that Moriah Vineyards juice. I'm into it. I've there's something about it that seems appealing to me, except for like any of the like religion stuff. None of that is interesting, but just the like the vibes, hanging out with your boys. You kind of have like you kind of know what you're doing for the rest of your life.
Mm,
There, you kind of things are set up for you. Just kind of go sweep something, and that's gonna be it.
mm. Sure. Yeah. I had an aunt
Something
who
kind
was
of nice about it.
I had an aunt who was a nun, and she worked or lived or worked or did her thing at a nunnery that
Sure.
did like wine and stuff too. So yeah,
Really
it's a thing. It's a common
interesting.
thing.
It's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Desmond is greeted by Brother Campbell, who welcomes him to the Abbey. The two quickly get along, and one day they are applying labels for wine bottles, the aforementioned Moriah Vineyard. While they are talking, a monk enters and informs Desmond of a visitor. A man then enters and punches Desmond before leaving. He's like, "There's a man here to see Desmond." And he just whacks him in the nose. Desmond decides to visit an old flame who he was supposed to marry after 6 years of dating, but jilted her a week before the wedding to become a monk. Derek, the man who assaulted him, answers the door, but is quickly interrupted by Ruth, Desmond's old love. I think Ruth, definitely Bible name. Derek, not super sure. Doesn't feel like it.
I don't know. I really messed up a couple weeks ago when we were talking Bible names, and I led you I forget what we were discussing, but I definitely led you astray on Maybe something to do with Abraham.
Yeah, well, I think I screwed up because we talked in this monastery flashback backstory. We hear talk about sacrifice, where Brother Campbell is telling Brother Desmond about. Wait, actually, how about that? Why is they call him Brother Desmond? This guy's name is Brother Campbell. Desmond is his first name. Is Campbell this guy's first name?
I think you kind of get to pick, like priests do this too. You kind of get to pick which one sounds best, you know? I think that other one was probably his last name, but who knows? Maybe Campbell might be like a Scottish name, first
Could
name.
be. That's true.
It's whatever
But
sounds
anyway,
good, you know? There were a lot of,
okay.
growing up, there were a lot of, you know, father last name and then father first name.
Okay, interesting. I didn't realize there was the split like that. But yeah, anyway, Campbell tells Desmond about, or like they while they're in the wine shop in this scene, they're talking about the story that I was talking about last week, the Abraham sacrificing his son. And I thought Jacob was his son, but it was Isaac. That was the name. I assumed Jacob was the son of Abraham to be sacrificed, but I had that wrong. And it was, you know, Isaac here in this story. I don't know who Jacob is. I still didn't look it up because you didn't want me to.
Yeah. No spoilers on the Bible. Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so Ruth though, that's I know that's a Bible name. Can't tell you much about her, if anything. And I don't think Derek is in the Bible.
The Book of Derek.
Book of Derek. Ruth invites Desmond in, where he explains that he was called to join the monastery. However, Ruth accuses him of being scared and accuses him of not having the decency to come clean when breaking up with a woman. Later that night, Desmond gets drunk on the wine that he helped label. This was a great scene because, yeah, he's just, you know, throwing back wine, and Brother Campbell comes in and is like, "What are you doing?" And Desmond is saying like, well, I'm getting pissed on the wine." And Campbell's like, basically, "Okay, you're fired." And Desmond's kind of like, "Wait, what? No." Like, I don't know what you expected, man. That's probably pretty obvious.
Yeah. I don't know if they fire you like that. Actually, I don't really know much about that situation, but
You don't think that you get fired for
I
getting into
feel
the wine?
no. I feel like it maybe be something else, but I don't really know what his whole deal was. I mean, he's getting called a brother, but I don't think he had taken any, you know, holy orders, vows, or something like that yet.
He said he was technically a novice still
A
at
novice.
the time of his firing.
Yeah, but whatever. It's good.
I'll have to see the bylaws.
Campbell had a good follow up. I thought it was it's good follow up, good line when he's like, what am I supposed to do next? And he's just like, I forget. Whatever. Whatever.
No, he says what am I supposed to do now? He says whatever comes next.
Whatever comes next. There you go. Yeah. Whatever.
He says I forget. Nice, dude. Oh, I really liked this line. Yeah, Campbell catches him and informs him that he is not cut out for the monastery. Like in the conversation, he's like, "Desmond, I don't think you're cut out to be a monk." And Desmond's like, "You mean Brother Desmond?" He's like, "No, Desmond, just Desmond." Damn. However, the next day, Campbell asks Desmond to help load the crates of wine into the car of a customer. And as Desmond is talking to Brother Campbell, the scene shows a picture on his desk of Brother Campbell and Eloise Hawking, the woman Desmond talked to in his time loop in that episode. I don't know if you caught that. It was on there for like, it definitely was like, here's a very quick shot of it. That if it lingered longer, I wouldn't have noticed it, I think, but it was a pretty conspicuous edit. It wasn't poorly done. It was just sort of like, oh, clearly this is something to pay attention to, and then move on before you can really register too much.
I think I missed that. Yeah. You know,
Okay.
let's do a little Imagineering. It'd be a lot better if it was just sort of apropos of nothing, similar to many celebrities. They just kind of scan across his desk, and there's a picture of him with Ghislaine Maxwell. Just
Probably good you didn't join
go
that
on from
order,
there.
Desmond.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as Desmond wheels out the crates of wine, he meets the customer, one Penelope Widmore, who offers to take him with her. And Zoe noticed accurately, Penny's got the riz. She's meeting him full force with the flirting and whatnot. They hit it off. She's got very her accent. I can only sort of liken it to like a Judi Dench. There's something very proper London about it. I'm sure it's like posh English, but she reads as kind of like a Bond character to
Von
me.
Villain's daughter or girlfriend, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's true. She's driving like a Range Rover too,
Yeah.
I think.
Also
Yeah.
Bond villain
Bond
behavior.
villain-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, Bond villain family.
Yeah.
Where did you get riches? Oh, my family's in the Bond villain industry.
Yeah. If you are a rich person and you're doing things like buying, I mean, this is just like a lot of people actually, but doing things like, oh yeah, my little bit of charity is that I go and I buy wine from monks and
The monks.
donate it or something like that. That's a what's the opposite of like kind of the opposite of like a make work job. I guess it's not the opposite. It's just like a make work job for a wealthy person who doesn't really need to do anything. And you're like, my job is wine now. My job is drive Range Rover.
Could be worse. There are worse gigs out there. On the island, the episode starts off with Desmond, Hurley, Jin, and Charlie walking through the jungle talking about superheroes. When Charlie suddenly springs one of Rousseau's traps and is consequently shot in the throat by an arrow. And I got to, I'm pumping my fist. Like the episode starts and like, we see Charlie's face. I'm praying this is the episode that Charlie dies. It's been a long time coming. Although I know while it's happening, like this didn't just happen. It's too sudden. It's too obvious. This is a dream or something. But it was satisfying at least to see him just
Yeah.
shot in the throat.
Exactly. I figured that it wouldn't really phase you. Maybe the real way to watch Lost is without any kind of media literacy at all. And then you would be stoked about that.
Whoa!
Throwing your hands up like an ape. Yeah. Whoa!
Oh!
He's dead.
He died? But is. Yeah. I mean, it's not too far off, man. It's pretty close. Desmond tries to give him aid, but Charlie dies in his arms. We then see a string of short flashbacks, Hurley lifting a cable out of the sand, a red light dropping from the sky, Jin and Charlie holding a parachute in the jungle, and a person stuck in a tree. And then the view returns to Desmond fishing on the beach, revealing that it was all one of his visions. He looks over and sees that Charlie is, unfortunately, still alive and well. And okay, so I'm seeing the title of the episode Catch 22, and I'm thinking, okay, what we're setting up here is that Desmond will need to choose between saving Charlie and getting rescued. And he's gonna have to choose whether or not to save his life or be rescued. And I didn't get it quite right. We can analyze what.
Me, on the other hand, guy with zero media literacy is thinking, or near zero media literacy, I'm thinking, Catch 22. I think that's the name of a book that I haven't read. I'm sure something will happen that's similar to it, and if only I knew what it was about.
Do you know anything about the book?
Nope. Other than what you just said. I really don't think. I think I get the gist because it's also like a a
It's a
common
phrase
phrase.
now. Yeah.
But no, I don't know anything about the book.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read it either, but I know what's going on in it, and that I think the idea is that like in order to get discharged from the military, you need to prove you're crazy, and in order to prove you're crazy, you can't be crazy. Oh shoot, what was that? But like the cat, it's supposed to be this sort of like unsolvable paradox or this irresolvable like almost like bureaucratic loop thing. I think is the
Mm.
idea, but Joseph Heller's the author. Let me just Google this up really quick.
I'm familiar with Sophie's Choice. It sounds like they're slightly different, but vaguely the same in that maybe you're trying to do something.
Oh no. Yeah, do you want to explain that one? A
No.
catch-22 is a difficult situation in which the solution to a problem is impossible because it's also the cause of the problem. Kind of begging the question here. Okay, so this is coined by Joseph Heller, who used it in his 1961 Catch-22. Can we just get a quick, okay, the paradox, here we go. How is this the paradox? Okay, Yossarian comes to fear his commanding officers more than he fears the Germans attempting to shoot him down, and he feels that they are out to get him. The reason Yossarian fears his commanders more than the enemy is that he flies more missions. Colonel Cathcart increases the number of required combat missions before a soldier may return home. He reaches the magic number only to have it retroactively raised. He comes to despair of ever getting home and is greatly relieved when he's sent to the hospital for a condition that is almost jaundice. Yossarian's words, the enemy is anybody who's going to get you killed, no matter which side he's on, and that includes Colonel Cathcart. And don't you forget that, because the longer you remember it, the longer you might live. How is that a paradox? I thought he was trying to get discharged. Whatever, man. None of my business. I can't be learning about World War II. None of my business. Let's go back to the episode. Yeah, Desmond approaches Hurley and asks him to take him out to the cable. Hurley pretends not to know anything, but eventually Desmond coaxes him into telling him and also asks him to go with him on a hike. The two visit Jack to pick up a first aid kit, with Desmond telling him that he has a sprained ankle. Jack is skeptical at first, but eventually hands it over.
A very TV show style thing that
yeah,
would be even odder to happen in real life. Could I borrow a first aid kit so I can wrap my ankle, but also I'm going to do it way
do it
over there.
And I've got Hurley here for no reason.
Yeah.
And also, again, like, okay, I guess it makes sense that like Jack is the keeper of the medical supplies because he's the doctor. But it does feel a little like, Papa, can I have permission? Do you think it should be a little like, he's the doctor, he's there to help in medical situations, but like you can just go and like, you can go and just like poke him in the eye if you want. He's just kind of there. He's kind of your servant. He's not there as the guy, as an authoritative figure. That's how I would maybe switch things around.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if I understood the poke in the eye part, but
no,
sure.
just like do whatever he wants to him. Hurley then demands that Desmond tells him what he's up to. Desmond explains that he experienced more visions, but they weren't shown in order, so everything needs to happen exactly as it appeared to him. Meanwhile, Kate is approached by Sawyer in her tent while she is changing. We get some gratuitous Evangeline Lilly showing her skin here, or that makes it sound like it's her fault. The camera, they make her take her clothes off in this episode.
Well, they make her put her clothes on.
Well, sure, yeah.
The final 10% of the way, which is extremely risque for this television show. I mean, after you've been watching Lost for 100 episodes or whatever we've done so far, it does seem like crazy.
It's like we're just seeing nudity. Yeah, like we really don't get a lot of like suggestive Uh, we don't see a lot of skin necessarily in
Yeah,
this
that's true.
show
You don't get a lot of
for the
direct
most part.
references to things. I mean, even little spoiler in the next episode, Juliet asks Son when was the last time she had sex with her husband, and Son's like, I'd rather not. I'm not going to tell you that. Like,
Hmm.
that's disgusting. And then it's, established. Well, okay, we'll just look at it together, but could you maybe just tell me? This would make things a little bit easier,
Hmm.
but doesn't fit on TV. But yes, it is. It is
It's
the
a rare moment of
craziest moment.
ogling, I suppose.
Yeah,
And it does seem like Evangeline Lilly is the object of that ogling fairly frequently, unfortunately.
yeah.
I think that like this
O-
whole
Ogling
arc
of
for
someone
her
not
is
wearing
disappointing.
jeans, but yes, yeah. There's a lot of ogling at people kind of just like sweaty in bell bottom jeans and wet shirts and stuff like that earlier in the series.
That's true. I mean, Kate included.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Sawyer asks Kate if Jack knows about their fling while in captivity. She explains that Jack saw them having sex through the surveillance monitors.
And Sawyer is like, you know, okay, cool. This solves a lot
All right,
of
well,
problems.
game on.
I'm glad that Jack saw all that.
Yeah. Yeah, he tries flirting with her, but Kate playfully shrugs him off. He says, "Well, but how about a little afternoon delight?" And he's like, Sawyer, and leaves. And she's like, "What? I got to make you a mixtape?" And as if he's gone to such great lengths, other than just barging into her tent while she's changing, and that wasn't quite enough to do it for her.
Yeah.
Desmond gets Hurley to speak with Jin, who comes along after being told about a camping trip. Jin just really like falling for it, I guess. And also like
Out of
camping is what
no,
you've been doing this entire time.
yeah. I, I mean, it made this happens elsewhere, but like Jin knowing the word camp
Yeah.
is just very, I don't know, funny, very just goofy, that he just always happens to know the noun of every situation, no matter how unlikely it would be. Like you said, they've been kind of camping this entire time, and so it's not like a word or a phrase that would be very likely to have ever come up, let alone enough times for Jin to have kind of caught on to the context. But camp,
And I'm
he
just taking
repeats camp
a
to them quite a
stab
few
in the
times.
dark here. It seems like a pretty American pastime. I don't know what Koreans be doing for leisure, but like, maybe they're camping. But it seems kind of like an American thing to like go camping.
Maybe. I mean,
I mean,
Australia people do it, European people do it, probably other people, but yeah, who knows? Who knows?
I guess it is just kind of like another dot along or another like step along the way of like, yeah, Jin is learning English. He's knowing more
Yes.
every few episodes. We're kind of gradually.
He's learning it in a weird way of only nouns, no other parts of speech or anything like that. But yes, we're getting there. Someday he's
We're
going to
getting
break
there.
through and
Camping is a
suddenly,
gerund. I'll give him that.
sure,
Camping.
sure.
Desmond then approaches Charlie with the same story, but Charlie sees through this and questions him about his visions. Desmond gives in and explains, but only in a limited amount to convince Charlie to come along. He's like, "Can I bring my guitar?" I was like, "Hope I thought you'd never ask. Of course, please bring that guitar. You're so good at guitar. Every time that you're playing guitar on screen, it's very convincing, Charlie. That's the best." They walk along the beach up until the point where Hurley first discovered the cable. Desmond suggests that they camp out here until the next morning, causing Charlie to become wary. This was a part that seemed a little bit inconsistent because, wait, never mind. Okay, I'll save this because we haven't seen the light in the sky yet. Okay. Meanwhile, back at camp, Kate and Jack have a talk in the kitchen and reminisce about days on the island. Kate tries communicating with Jack and tries to get things back to normal between the two, but he has to use her spoon and heads off to Juliet's tent where he eats dinner with her. I mean, I feel like Kate's like flirting with him, not just straight communication.
I'm not a fan of this kitchen. This kitchen popped up, I feel like, for the first time in one of the flashbacks. It's been seen a lot more recently, and I don't like it. I don't think you should have a kitchen. I don't think I would go through that. Why are you building shelves? Build a lot of other things before you build shelves.
I disagree.
It's
I think that's
weird.
Necessary.
Build other things. Spend your time building other things. Not
like what?
I don't know, but not a kitchen where you literally just hang around and
I think that's
lean
super
on
necessary.
the counters.
What's like a kitchen is in its most basic form is like wherever the food's being made, and like we're probably going to be collectively making food, and we're probably going to have a pot that's boiling something or whatever, and so let's just build up around that.
They've made a kitchen that looks like a kitchen in a contemporary, Western home or whatever. That just happens to be made out of bamboo. It's over the top. Don't like it.
They got a wet bar.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like a tiki bar to me. Yeah.
Kate becomes upset, so she goes to Sawyer's tent and seduces him. She says, "Shut up and don't talk."
Yeah.
The camping trip company is enjoying a ghost story told by Jin in Korean while gathered around a campfire. That might be my favorite moment of the episode, where Jin is just he's just telling the ghost story in Korean, and then he like tells like the punchline, or he goes at the end, and Hurley just like completely is completely startled as if he was following any of that. Very good.
Yeah.
Charlie notices Desmond is looking at the photo of him and Penny. He asks how he could leave someone so beautiful, which is always my move whenever I see a couple together. I just screwed that one up, big dog.
Yeah.
Desmond replies that, I'm a coward. Their conversation is interrupted by the sound of an approaching helicopter. Thinking that they're being rescued, they suddenly notice the helicopter doesn't sound quite right, and they hear it crash into the ocean. Jin, however, spots a beacon flashing in the sky, landing somewhere in the jungle. Desmond is eager to follow, but Charlie suggests that they wait until the morning. Reluctantly, Desmond agrees. And here's the kind of what I was going to bring up moments ago, but the vision that Desmond saw was clearly in the daytime, and he would want to, maintain the vision, but maybe at this point he's just so eager to get to who he thinks is Penny, who's coming in the helicopter, that maybe he's willing to, I don't know, forego or change the future there. Jack and Juliet talk as they continue to construct her tent back on the beach. They are soon confronted by Sawyer, who challenges Jack to a game of ping pong. And Sawyer says how strange it is to be back. Jack reveals that he spoke with Kate the night before, but ate supper with Juliet. Like, she said the same thing back in the kitchen. And so Sawyer's like, oh, dang. Maybe Kate's just using me. The next morning, Desmond, Charlie, Jin, and Hurley venture off into the jungle. Charlie stumbles across a small Hawaiian doll, which they at first mistake for one of Rousseau's traps. Desmond then discovers a rucksack wedged in a tree above Hurley and retrieves it. Inside, they find a satellite phone, which has stopped working, and a book titled Ardil 22, the Portuguese translation of Joseph Heller's novel Catch-22. Portuguese, interesting. Inside, Desmond finds a perfect copy of the photograph with him and Penny, causing him and Charlie to suspect that Penny is the person who parachuted onto the island. That was a cool moment. I'll give him that. That was I kind of gasped when I saw that photograph in the book.
Yeah. It's
what the heck?
It's a level up from, Jack thinking he saw his dad or some of the other uh, close encounters. It's a
Yeah.
level up from even Echo seeing, his brother's plane, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like
agree.
it's an externally verifiable thing, like other
Yeah.
people have seen the picture now. He's
Hmm.
in the picture. Yeah.
I would like to see more apparitions of Christian Shepherd on the island, though. Now that you bring it up, there should be
Mm.
more of that.
Okay.
I guess we're just done with that. Hopefully not. Sawyer confronts Kate and gives her a cassette tape, the best of Phil Collins, which he stole from Bernard, apparently. He then questions her about why she jumped him, asking her if she was upset about Jack and Juliet. Sawyer accuses her of using him and tells her all you have to do is ask, before walking away, leaving her upset. And I can only get so invested in, this kind of drama, you know, whatever. Still in the jungle, Desmond and Charlie discuss his reasons for picking them up on the hike, or bringing them on the hike. It soon starts raining, and Desmond is eager for the group to pick up the pace. Hurley and Charlie discuss who is faster, Superman or the Flash, as seen in Desmond's vision at the start of the episode. And here we will break for 45 minutes for Ben and I to discuss who would be faster, Superman or the Flash.
Don't care. Don't care. Don't know anything about either guy.
And there you have it. Discussion concluded. As also foreseen, Charlie activates the trap that is supposed to kill him. Desmond, however, pushes him to the ground, saying like, "Charlie, duck!" saving his life and narrowly avoiding the arrow. Charlie immediately understands that Desmond knew it would happen. As they continue onwards, Jen and Desmond are unable to decide which direction to go. Hurley suggests that he and Charlie go one way, but Jen and Desmond go another. Charlie immediately declines and wants to go with Desmond. This article, this Wikipedia article specifically is pretty play-by-play. Sorry, gang. It doesn't. Some of this seems to be a little extraneous, but we'll get through it together. When they are alone, Charlie yells at Desmond for not telling him the truth about his visions, to which he responds that it would be pointless for Desmond to save him, as it will keep happening over and over again, referring to it as a test of God. Jin suddenly calls for them, and he and Hurley have discovered the beacon and a parachutist hanging motionless from the trees. Desmond climbs the tree and cuts off the parachute so Jin, Charlie, and Hurley can use it as a safety net for when Desmond cuts the pilot free. Convinced that he will be finally... Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like it's weird to call the person a parachutist. Is anybody who jumps out
Why
of a
is
plane
that?
is anyone who jumps out of a plane with a parachute suddenly a parachutist? I feel like a
Yes.
parachutist.
One who has a parachute.
I feel like that's disrespectful to maybe somebody who's trained in the art of parachuting, you know?
Okay. But it's more descriptive than just person, right? Like
Sure.
the defining characteristic is like they're attached to this parachute at this moment.
Parachuter, I would appreciate more, maybe. Parachutist sounds like,
Fair point.
that's a career.
Yeah.
You are a career jumping out of plane and parachuting person.
Mm-hmm. Would you ever jump out of a plane? You ever do that? Skydive?
Maybe in certain situations.
Or have you?
No, I've never have, and I don't think I would do it for fun. Not interested in that. I like planes. They're cool, but not the jumping out and spins and stuff like that,
What's the most extreme adrenaline junkie thing you've ever done?
Jumping off of a cliff into water.
That's big.
It's pretty big.
Well, how tall a cliff? What kind of jump would you
I don't know, actually. I really don't know. It's kind of difficult to tell when you're out on the water. Maybe like between maybe like 2.5 to 3 stories of a home.
That's huge. That's really tall.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm going to estimate 2.5 stories, which is like, I don't know. That's like 25 plus feet, 30 feet.
Yeah.
Might be
Like a
taller than
story's
that.
10 feet.
Actually, might be taller than that then. That sounds small, but whatever.
Where was this? That sounds tall to me.
Uh, a lake, the Ozarks, one of the Ozark
Okay.
things, lakes, whatever, something. As a kid, I don't do that stuff anymore. I hang out at home and watch Lost.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. It will not surprise you. Once again, I'm being alphaed by Ben. I have not done anything remotely so extreme. Maybe I've been inside a car that's going fast. That might be the closest thing. I haven't myself driven quickly.
Okay.
Just be reasonable there, but maybe in like a souped up someone's driving me in their souped up car. They hit the gas and went quickly.
Yeah, I think it's probably jumping off of a cliff. I mean, I've done climbing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've done rappelling and climbing.
Is that different than
And
rock climbing?
no, I think it's different. I mean, I haven't done it on real rocks, so it's definitely different.
In middle school, I did like a zip line thing that was like like it was like a field trip, and we all went to like
Yeah.
this like summer camp type thing that I'm sure that lots of people maybe have done. But I remember it being it was 40 feet. That was the thing. It was like you climb up, you do rock climbing up to the top, and then you zip line to the end. And
Sure.
that's still the scariest thing I've ever done. I hated it so much. I really didn't want to do it, but everyone had to do it. Everyone just had to do it. I
Interesting.
don't get why they made everybody do it.
I have done
And
zip
that 40 feet felt like the tallest thing of all time. So that's why I'm so impressed by your 2.5 story jump.
I have done zip lining and like treetop obstacle course type stuff quite a few times as well. Yeah. But yeah.
Mr. Adrenaline Junkie over here. Damn. Do you like that stuff now? Like, would you do anything? What's the closest thing you would do like that now?
I would do it now
zip line?
under threat. Or
What does that look like?
To not embarrass myself. Well, if somebody was like, get up there, I'm gonna shoot you. Actually, probably
sure.
if somebody said I was gonna punch you, probably just light violence.
I would take the punch.
I'm not.
I would easily take the punch.
I'm not interested in getting hit. I would probably go do any of those types of things again rather than get, lightly assaulted.
No, I'm definitely getting assaulted. Like kind of like heavily assaulted before doing a zip line.
I'd probably take a punch before I did like skydiving. I'm not really interested in that anyway. But I don't know.
There's no chance I would do skydiving.
Okay, so you take extreme assault.
Yeah, I would die before I did it. You'd kill me. You'd kill my family. Like everything.
Wow.
Like there's not a thing that you could do to get me to go skydiving.
Wow.
Nothing sounds worse. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I'm not interested
jumping out of a plane.
I'm not interested in
it,
but I would do it to save my life or to save somebody else's life.
No, sorry, family. I'm not going skydiving. I'm not base jumping. I'm not bungee jumping. Not do the wingsuit thing.
What about
I'm not doing anything on the Red Bull Instagram.
The Red Bull guy that jumped out of space.
Oh, I'd definitely do that. Actually, there is a level of abstraction there at that point that like it kind of. I'm closer to do. I'd more quickly do that than skydive. Skydive is so crazy to me.
Yeah, that one, it just seems like you just fall.
Yeah, and like I don't know. There's not like that much atmosphere up there. There's not a lot of like things like relatively moving around you. It's so far away. The ground is so far away that it doesn't like feel that real.
Yeah. And
I
by
do
the
it
time
twice
it
as high.
starts to feel real, you've already fallen, 10 miles out of the sky.
Yeah. No, I would never do skydiving. Convinced that he will finally be reunited with Penny, Desmond quickly removes the helmet, only to discover that she is a different woman. As the episode concludes, she mutters Desmond's name. There you go. This was an interesting and good episode, I thought, but Charlie didn't die, so I'm docking a point. This is a 3 out of 5 to me.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3. It was good. It took us forever to talk through it, so I guess there's a lot of stuff that happened, and we also got sidetracked a bunch. But there is a lot of little stuff that happens that we should probably give it credit for, I suppose.
Yeah.
And we are with our lovely 3s.
3's not a bad score, and look, we don't do the decimals. Okay, this is like we're honest here. We stand by ourselves. None of this like 3.5 or 3.75, 3.9. Yeah. No,
Damien, they can't all be 5s, my friend. We can't be giving out 5s for everything.
3's good. 3 is very good, or not very good.
Reviewers, it would really hurt. It would hurt our credibility if we were giving them all 5s, my man.
You want the highs to be high, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't want everything to be a plateau at 30,000 feet above sea level.
Not your best work, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine.
So what if I could have done it better? So what if we could have both done it better in our sleep?
Easily.
It's good enough for you. It was good work out of you. Nothing to be.
So what if neither of us have read Catch-22? we could have thought of that. I could have named. I'm gonna call the next one Grapes of Wrath. Haven't read that either, but we're gonna make it about some guy who's angry and purple. How about that?
That's what they should have called this one. They should have called this one the Grapes of Wrath too. At least the backstory.
The
part.
Grapes of Wrath 2, the re-wrathening.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of giving credit, this episode of Lost on Ice is brought to you by Ben and I. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel or joining our Patreon page, which would be even better. Patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Thank you so much for listening. We actually have a very exciting episode of the Patreon show planned today that we will be getting into. We'll be doing our best of 2024, our annual year, best and worst, I should say. Been looking forward to this for a long time. Check it out. Patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Let's talk about season 3, episode 18, which is called. Do you remember what it's called?
D.O.C.
Thank you. I didn't write it down.
The only episode title I've ever known. D.O.C.
Definitely thought that meant Department of Corrections before it started.
That's good because I don't know I can't remember what it stands for. Didn't catch it. Don't know what it stands for. I can't think of anything in the world that it could stand for.
Is this one about Bugs Bunny?
Death of California, something like that. I really can't think of anything other than Department of Corrections now, which is a good call.
This aired April 25th, 2007. It was directed by Frederick E. O'Toy, the only episode that he ever directed. It was written by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. In the flashbacks, we see a newly married son is visited by a woman who claims to know information about her husband's parentage. She tells her that Jin was birthed by a prostitute and threatens to reveal this secret to the world of Sun's high society if she doesn't receive $100,000.
$100,000? Was it dollars or Korean won?
They said dollars. Because
I think that's like nothing in won.
Okay. Even if it's dollars,
it's not a lot. It's a lot.
It's obviously like it's way more than I could ever get my hands on. But like to me, it seemed like how does Sun's whole thing is that she's rich, right? Or how did she not just have like like daddy's debit card or whatever? Like how come she doesn't have $100,000? Or sorry, not $100,000, $100,000.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know.
Maybe you have to move a couple of things around, but
she does get it very easily.
That's true.
Relatively easily. She has a slightly uncomfortable conversation, an uncomfortable conversation with her father
Sure.
that lasts about 45 seconds. But yeah,
Yeah.
which again is more than
It
probably a lot less than we would have to do if we needed to ask someone for $100,000 or something like that.
right. Yeah. What would you do? How would you get 100 grand?
Well, I've put myself up. I'll do the skydiving. I'll do the Red Bull jump out of space thing. I don't know. I don't know what else. Give
Hmm.
me people
Is
got to give me some
this is a
ideas.
bad I'm realizing this is a bad look into my mind and my soul. But I might go skydiving for $100,000. But you could kill my whole family. And I
Wow.
wouldn't do it.
Wow. No.
No, I wouldn't do it for 100,000. If you gave me like $1 billion, I'd go skydiving. I'd do it for $1 billion.
$1 billion. Okay. Yeah.
Would you go skydiving for $1 billion?
For $1 billion? Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Would you go skydiving for 100 grand?
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Well,
I'm
you
not
just
saying that I
devalued yourself quite significantly, my friend.
probably, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I probably would. I guess I would.
People probably pay a lot to go skydiving
Yeah. So
themselves.
you're actually getting a good deal.
Yeah. Is this episode an example? This son backstory, an example of American writers doing the thing where like, uh, it- Asian people are obsessed with honor.
Uh, I maybe, but also I think this is extremely true.
Really?
This is
Wait,
very
you're saying that this
about
episode is true, not just that like Asian people
no,
are
all of
obsessed with
Lost is true. I think it's very true of uh people in Korea. I don't know.
honor. Okay,
I don't know. I guess I'm
you
just
could
you just have to take my
extort
word for
somebody.
that.
I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
I
do any
think you could.
research.
I think you could definitely extort. Yeah, you could definitely extort somebody.
You'd be like, I'm gonna reveal that your or your dad's a fisherman, and that would be like,
I
oh
think that
no,
is
I
extreme.
get
Yeah,
100,000.
that is a really realistic thing. I could ask. I
Interesting.
could pull in a third non-Korean person into our conversation and ask Shelly to confirm.
Well, of
But I
course, we're not
think
gonna like
I
ask
think that's
somebody who's from there.
I think that's I think that's quite true. I think it's a very notable thing about Korea that, to put it concisely, honor is a big thing.
It's interesting because here in the United States, I feel like there's a bit of competitive modesty or humble beginnings. People like to, people who've made
Yeah.
it, love to lay claim to like, oh, I was, from a poor farmer family or something like that. Like that like if they would like a billionaire would love to be able to say that their family was from
Mm.
a small fishing village and didn't have much, and they pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps.
I agree with that, though. Though when you put it that way, it does remind me that I don't know if that's true for your descendants and spouses and things like that. Because I don't know. Is it unfair to say that? Though I agree with that, everybody wants to be the person who, or wants to say that they're the person who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps or whatever. I think a lot of those bootstrap puller up people would similarly be feel a bit of shame to have children who are seen as failures or who have fallen into hard times or something like that. They're like often ashamed of like if they have estranged children or children who, I don't know, become an addict or otherwise do something that is considered beyond the pale or not honorable or whatever, and also have concerns about their children marrying people from so-called lesser backgrounds or
Hmm.
whatever.
Maybe it's a regional thing or something. I feel like I don't know. We don't really have like blue bloods around here too much in
Mm,
Iowa. But like maybe in like storied East Coast families or something, you'd have more of that.
sure. I mean, I think
I
it
don't
probably
know.
I think the effect probably scales up with uh the for want of a better word, nobility of the family as well, right? You know,
Sure. Yeah, it could be.
the
Yeah, it could
vast
be.
majority of American families is probably, yeah, I agree with you. It's probably not a big deal, but I would guess American families that are similar in power to Son's family in this TV show
Yeah, I have
Lost.
no idea what the
I don't
Eyes
know.
Wide Shut crowd is thinking. I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, you watched that yet this Christmas season?
Did
Zoe and
I
I are putting
get?
together a list for this week.
The movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't. It is good. It is a good Christmas movie, and it is
Oh,
on
of course.
it
Yeah.
is on a similar list for me. No, I thought I definitely haven't been to the event yet this year or at all this year.
You haven't been to your Fidelio party?
You'll be happy to know I declined the invitation this year.
Very, very brave of you. Sun tries to push her husband into talking about his past, but he remains secretive and his words are contradictory. He's like, my dad died in the army, or he died when you were 16. He's like, you must have heard me wrong. But I think we did learn here that Jin is a military man.
Yeah, cancel now. Now he's canceled.
Oh, I'm not canceling. I'm thinking now his values going up on the island, even though he was already kind of undeniable like first round pick.
Yeah.
And then we do see his combat experience later in the episode, the flying roundhouse kick or whatever. Therefore, she decides to visit Jin's father, a man with perfect teeth who she thought was long dead. Mr. Kwan is pleased to meet with his newlywed son's wife, and confirms the identity of Jin's mother, a sex worker who gave up the baby right after his birth. He asks Sun to keep the secret to spare Jin the shame. Sun asks her rich father for the blackmail money. Sun's father, who senses that the request somehow involves Jin, accepts to help his daughter, but declares that he'll involve Jin in his illegal business from that day on as a form of compensation. Sun kind of has that moment of like, she can kind of decide. Jin has been perfectly honorable, I guess, except for lying to her, I guess, so about this, right? So far, like chronologically, this is kind of like the moment where like starts getting like compromised once Sun takes that envelope of cash and
Mm.
her dad gets him involved in like the illegal stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's a little fuzzy. Maybe that's not strictly true. But I thought that's a real like inflection point, I think, for Jin's arc is Sun accepting that envelope of cash.
Mm.
Sun then meets the blackmailer and tells her that she knows that the woman is Jin's mother herself. Zoe called that. Shout out Zoe. Surprised me. I'm just Mr. Media illiterate watching the show being like, oh, wow.
Wait, sorry. The second time they meet, you didn't. I thought that was kind of implied from the very beginning.
For the very beginning of the
Yeah.
episode?
Yeah.
Well, I missed it.
From the first time they meet.
From the first time they meet,
I mean,
I did not.
I don't think that Son knew it yet.
I didn't pick it up. Zoe picked
Oh.
it up. I didn't pick it up.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not arguing for my side. I'm just some guy. After giving her the money, Sun remarks on her family's power and criminal connections, threatening the blackmailer into going away forever. He's like, I can make you die.
Yeah, which is the way she puts it was pretty funny, though.
It's pretty cool.
Pretty badass way to do it.
Yeah. On the island, Sun is cautious of Jack, fearing that he may have shifted his allegiance to the others after his return and that they may be planning to take her unborn baby like they tried to do with Claire's. Very valid concern, I think. I think that this is totally rational.
Yep, 100%.
Definitely ask the questions that you're asking, Sun. Raises some very good questions throughout all this. She is then confronted by Juliet, who reveals herself as the other's fertility doctor. She explains that pregnant women on the island are destined to die before their last trimester. Juliet wants to find out the baby's date of conception, claiming that Sun has a better chance to live if the child was conceived before the plane crash on the island. This is something that we've talked about in the show. Like, do we think that this baby is Jin's? Or do we think that it's Jay's? I think the guy's name was. The person that Sun was having an affair with back home. I thought it was Jay, or I thought it was Jin's. That was my stance heading into this episode, but it did make me kind of wonder this episode, where is this heading?
I still go back like, I don't know, probably 10 of our episodes. There's the episode everyone laughed at me, even though I told the truth, that there's an episode that starts with them emerging from their little island hut. And it's very
boinked.
clear that they've just conceived a child.
Well, all right.
They're winking at everyone. You can tell. You disagreed with me.
Who's the new guy? People are asking. Yeah. She brings Sun to the other's medical facility station with the flickering lights that are not at all creepy, where Sun admits to Juliet about her infidelity prior to the flight. Worried that the baby may not be Jin's, Sun says that she's destined to suffer regardless of the ultrasound's test results. Juliet goes into a locker and pulls a secret lever, opening a secret blast door, and we see this extra room in there. Sun's like, "What's this room about?" And Juliet says, "This is where we take the women to die."
Yeah. Which I've said this when we were in this area before in the series. I've said it before that this is a scary looking room. And it's always scary when you're in an industrial space that has like a baby crib or like any maternity type stuff.
Yeah.
It's I think this is done best in Barbarian, the movie from 2-ish years ago. But any time they do it, it's sickening. It's sickening to me.
Yeah, very disturbing.
Yeah.
Juliet is then able to confirm that the baby was conceived on the island. Sun begins to cry, but also claims to be happy, and thanks Juliet. The Wikipedia made really suspicious of Sun's intentions here. She's crying, but claims to be happy. She's overcome with emotion here. After Sun leaves the facility, Juliet goes back and uses a tape recorder to record a secret message for Ben. She informs him about Sun's condition and reveals that she's going to take samples from the other women. Then she hits stop on the recorder and she says, "I hate you." Being sneaky.
Very edgy.
Very edgy. We're still left questioning, like when push comes to shove, who would Juliet side with? She does seem to be carrying out Ben's mission, but her saying "I hate you" is a little bit of a crack in the armor.
I don't know about that. I don't think you should give her credit for that. I don't think so. I don't think that makes sense. I think people are giving her far too much credit.
She also double-crossed the knot, though. I'm also thinking about that. I'm thinking about how Jack said the right thing at the right time to her about trusting her and all that. I think that it's not I'm not convinced. I'm. This was when Lost was at its best as season 2, and we didn't know what Ben's deal was, who he was, and when he was being Henry Gale as the captor, we were believing him and not believing him. That was when I think the show was really firing on all cylinders, and I think we're back to that a little bit. For me, at least, I'm like, can I trust Juliet? I don't know. She's a real wild card. I don't know, Homer. I don't know why I went Marge mode there.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Desmond, Charlie, Hurley, and Jin are assisting the woman who parachuted onto the island in the previous episode. Hurley can kind of understand her. He's like, she's speaking Spanish. She's like, estoy muerto or something like that. She's like, I'm dying.
Even though hasn't it been established that she's Portuguese before?
It has not been established. I just said that the the Adriel 22 was Portuguese.
Oh, yes, that's right.
That's extra textual at this point. But Hurley claims Spanish origin. And then we are soon reintroduced.
That's what I'm getting at. If you speak, she's bilingual. I guess she's bilingual. Just,
covering his tracks.
Well, I'm just saying Portuguese and Spanish.
He's trying not to give something away.
I'm saying Portuguese.
Definitely Portuguese.
Portuguese and Spanish are different.
Yeah, they are different. Hurley. Meanwhile, Desmond I think that the Wikipedia gave something away to be by saying that the book was Portuguese.
She's not Spanish. She's Portuguese.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Desmond, Charlie, Hurley, and Jin are assisting the woman who parachuted onto the island in the previous episode. To their surprise, Mikhail Bakunin arrives on the scene, having apparently survived from the electromagnetic shock that knocked him unconscious. This is another thing that Zoe called. She doubted that he actually died. She was like, we didn't actually see his body. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting my white ass down and listening to her from here on out about what's going on in the show. She seems to be right about a lot of things. He says that she's speaking Italian. Mikhail says she's speaking Italian.
Yep.
And so I'm glad that in canon, in universe, Portuguese is also a fucking weird language. Anytime I hear Portuguese being spoken, it sounds like Russian Spanish to me. It's so... I already said this last season, because if she's Portuguese, we know that Penelope's boys were Portuguese, speaking on that thing station or whatever. But very interesting.
Interesting. Portugal is centering itself as the center of the lost mystery. What goes on there? Oh, it's a country surrounded by Spain?
Doesn't the Prime Meridian go through Portugal?
Does the Prime Meridian go through Portugal? No, maybe. I mean, it goes through the UK.
Oh no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I don't think so. It goes through the ocean, right?
I was going to make a total guess about the location of the island. It was going to be
Portugal.
Well, no, it was going to be on the opposite side of the world of the intersection of the Prime Meridian and the equator. And I thought Portugal was going to be along the line. There's going to be some magical longitudinal affinity to this island somehow that's get it inverted across the globe. I don't know what the opposite side of the world from Null Island. Opposite of Null Island. What we got? Antipode? Is that where we're going? Okay, yeah, the Antipode of Null Island. I guess we'll have to look that up later. It's not obviously being revealing. Am I making sense here?
Yep, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Dig a hole through the earth.
Yeah, dig a hole through the earth from where the Prime Meridian and the equator intersect, and then that's where the Lost Island is. That was my guess up until Portugal is not part of the Prime Meridian, I guess.
Okay.
The Flight 815 survivors compel Bakun to medicate the woman who suffers from a branch penetrating her chest. Suffers from a branch penetrating her chest. Yeah, she like, I don't know. It pierced her chest as she fell from the tree.
Branch and chest.
What kind of condition you have? Yeah, yeah. After the parachuter appears safe, they reluctantly Mikhail go. When the woman wakes up, she reveals to Hurley that in the outside world, the crashed Oceanic Airlines plane was already found, along with every passenger's body. Dun dun! What the heck?
She said they were all dead. She didn't quite say it like that.
She did say that. You're right. Wikipedia said with every passenger's body.
Every passenger's body. Wikipedia man off once again.
Okay. But that's quite the reveal.
Yeah.
We got a parallel dimension? Is that what's going on? All sorts of questions being raised. I thought this was very funny at some point in the episode. Mikhail starts like taunting Charlie by just saying, "What?
Yeah.
What?"
Yeah.
He throws in there. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, this is a 4.
Step up from the last episode. Question about Sun's condition. What's going on there? How did that happen?
How did that happen? Pregnant. Now,
where
what's
do babies
that?
come from? Do abortions exist on the island? Why is that not on the table as far as like saving Sun's life?
It's a daytime television show. Well, actually, it's not a daytime television show.
It's
a
prime
nighttime.
time network TV.
It's a prime time.
They could talk about abortion. Right?
Yes. Well, we don't know how they died exactly, though.
I guess that's true.
And they're also, you're right, I guess, about maybe Sun's situation, but I think for the other people, the implication is that they're trying really hard to fight through it, right? They're trying to have a discovery.
Well, they're
trying to be number one.
Okay, I didn't necessarily. I could have sort of thought that the other women who were pregnant were also like, unwitting victims in these experiments, weren't necessarily in on it, but maybe they are.
I mean, I think there are other people on the island in their little crew. I think that's always been the implication,
Okay. Very well.
But yeah. It's a good.
Sun's got 2 months
question.
left, is what Juliet gave her. She's got 2 months.
Yes. If I was, I'd be, you say that I could maybe make it to the middle of the second trimester. What is a trimester?
Sounds like there's 3 something.
Sounds
3
like there's
mesters.
3 of something. What is a mester?
Yeah. How many more mesters do I have? All right, gang, that's going to be it for the show today. If you like what you heard and want to hear more from Ben and I, consider joining our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Like I said, we've got the biggest show of the year. We're going to record right after this. I'm very excited for it. Every week, Ben and I release a bonus hangout show. There's a whole extra podcast that you're just missing out on if you're not already over there. Right into the show with Dr. Skeletons, artschool@gmail.com. Comment down below, what did we miss in this episode? What are some obvious mistakes that we made? Next week, we are watching Season 3, episodes 19 and 20. We've got 2 more episodes left, or 2 more podcasts left to cover Season 3. Hopefully, we've got some exciting things to cover. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. This is Dr. Skeleton saying, over and out.